If you are a high-income Muslim and your wife wants to leave you, on the internet they will tell you things like work on yourself, be irreplaceable, you need to learn how to control your emotions. And they will tell you other kind of advice that I'll show you at the end of the video. The truth is it's probably not the best advices you can have right now if you want to get her back and have a good relationship with her. I'm not saying these networks, they may work to get her back, but it won't work to help you having a good, striving, happy relationship with her. These advices are not your priority right now, so it may be unnecessary effort for you, and it may be the hard way for you to get her back. The last thing is probably these advices are not the best aligned with Islam and high income situations like yours. So stick with me to the end, I'll show you why it's not the best advices, and maybe you will be able to take better actions to get her back and have an actually happy relationship and save your family. But let me say first that this video is not for you if your wife always been avoiding you. Some situations the wife has been avoiding since the beginning of the relation. And the reason why I'm not talking about that from my experience among high-income Muslims, this is pretty rare. And most of the time, the wife has been pursuing since the beginning of the marriage until she got bored and now she wants to leave. Also, it's not for you if there is affairs in the relationship because it's a complicated case and we need to do something differently. It needs to be a separate video. Also, today we'll focus on the main mistakes so you don't do mistakes and you don't make the situation worse. But in other videos, I'll maybe focusing on solutions and actionable steps you can take. But before you understand why these advices are a problem for you, first you have another problem, which is you need to understand why she wants to leave at the first place. Therefore, I'll be speaking about that a little bit before covering the mistakes. First, let me go to the basics. Here is baby Mu'ad, and baby Mu'ad was born. But baby Mu'ad couldn't survive by himself. Therefore, baby Mu'ad was born with a special instinct, which is attachment instinct. It means that baby Mu'ad wants and seeks naturally repeated, secure connection with attachment figure to have his needs met. But this attachment instinct came with a price, fear of isolation and separation. This fear of isolation and separation divided into two kinds of other fear, rejection and abandonment. It's logical when you think about it, because there is only two ways you can be separated from a group. The first one is go towards the group and the group reject you, rejection, and do nothing, stay without doing anything, and the group just don't mind you and just leave you. Everybody has this fear of rejection and abandonment, even though in some people fear of rejection is stronger than abandonment, and in other people fear of abandonment is stronger than rejection. Therefore, everybody on the face of this earth has both, but everybody has one stronger than the other. And this is important for you if you want to understand the dynamic that led your wife to want to leave. Because of this attachment instincts, people marry and want to have a spouse. But because they have this fear of isolation, they often end up in this kind of insecure relationship where there is this kind of cycle. Usually what happens, one of the partner do an action that stimuli for the other person fear of rejection or abandonment. So it's an insecurity in the other person that's soon transformed into secondary emotion. If you don't know what's secondary emotion, I speak more about it in other videos. But usually it's a more social emotion that you can show to the other person, like anger, frustration, remorse, and so on and so forth. These secondary emotions then create a new reaction that is a stimuli for the other person, fear of rejection, abandonment, and so on and so forth. And marriage end up in this kind of cycle. That's the reason why you started as an happy relationship, motivated couple, but you ended up having many marriage problems. Therefore, I'll zoom into this cycle and I'll show you what happened for everybody in this cycle so you understand why your wife wants to leave you. Here is the example of Safiya and Ali. Safiya was the one that has the stronger fear of abandonment, and sometimes we call it anxious attachment. And because Safiya fear abandonment, she's been pursuing Ali since the beginning of the relationship. Now Ali has fear of rejection. It's what we call avoidant attachment. And because it's the case, it was difficult for Ali to go towards Safiya. And it's not because Ali don't like Safiya. It's not because he's not attached, but it's because if he goes towards Sophia and show his vulnerabilities, Sophia can reject him, and it's something that is scary for Ali. For this reason, Ali has been withdrawing and has been avoiding. He's been the avoidant in the relationship. In pretty much every relationship, you have a pursuer-withdrawer dynamic. Let's go back to our couple. So Sophia, she's been pursuing Ali for years. And the reason why she was able to do it is because she has a strong fear of abandonment. So for her, the pain of abandonment is way, way, way worse than the pain of being rejected by Ali time and time and time again. And in the beginning of the relation, Sophia actually thinks she can continue to do that. She's like, okay, it's hard, I'm being rejected, I'm pursuing Ali and Ali is withdrawing, so he rejects my bids for connections, but it's okay because to be abandoned by Ali is way worse for me. And it's so scary, I'm ready to pursue him until the end of my life. But it's the beginning of the relation. With years, all this rejection actually accumulates and the pain becomes worse and worse and worse until Sophia is not sure anymore. The pain of rejection is not worse than the pain of being abandoned. That's the second stage where Sophia usually become ambivalent. And usually in these stages, withdrawers don't know what to do. And a lot of time they're not aware of what's happening in the other person. So they may feel something, but they don't understand the stake of what's happening until we go to the third stage, where Sophia starts to think that actually being abandoned one time is actually better and less painful than being rejected again and again until the end of her life. And that's when Sophia wants to leave. Sophia has been pursuing since the beginning of the relationship, but because now, scared about this constant rejection, she starts to withdraw and become the withdrawer. Another reason why Sophia at this stage of the relation sometimes withdraw and the pursuer start to withdraw in the third stage is sometimes because they are so desperate and they are so hopeless and they tried so many strategies to have connection and to not be abandoned by their partner, then they actually think that there is no pursuing strategy that is working. For this reason, they start to withdraw, not because they are fearful of rejection. It becomes, interestingly, a strategy of pursuing. So they pursue by withdrawing, and they think I tried all types of pursuing. Maybe if I withdraw, the other person will wake up and go back and start to see I'm important and start to do the things to keep me and feel my needs. For many years, Ali has been avoiding and withdrawing from the relationship. Now, Sophia is avoiding. And this avoidance from Sophia is a form of rejection for Ali, because Ali has been in this relationship for so long and he's been intimate with Sophia. Sophia is probably the person that knows Ali the best in the whole world. If Sophia is now leaving the relationship after she knew Ali so much, is the ultimate form of rejection for Ali. So Ali becomes ready to pursue Sophia, even though Sophia will reject his pursuing, because he don't want her to leave. If she leaves, it's the ultimate form of rejection. So it's better to be rejected, to have small rejection, pursuing and be rejected a little bit, than being completely rejected. That's why there is actually one good advice that you'll see on the internet. Pursue her and you don't stay calm and you don't give space, things will get worse. But I actually don't think they are giving this advice for the good reasons. So I'll explain to you exactly why it's not a good idea to pursue your wife, not give her the space she's asking. Remember, the reason why she's leaving at the first place is because you guys had an insecure relationship. That's the reason why she suffered and she became hopeless. What you need to do, you need to turn your relationship into a secure relationship. You need to do a move from insecure relationship towards secure relationship. And you shouldn't do a move from insecure relationship to another kind of insecure relationship. If you go back to our cycle, you've been avoiding your wife, which was a stimuli of her fear of abandonment, which created secondary emotion that created reactions that triggered your fear of rejection, and so on and so forth. Now, if you start pursuing and doing this pursuing strategy, it may trigger her fear of rejection. Remember, everybody fears rejection in some sort of way, even her. It's just that the fear of abandonment was greater, but she still feared rejection. So this pursuing desperate pursuing strategies will also trigger secondary emotions and reactions that will be a stimuli for you, and so on and so forth. So you won't leave this insecure relationship, and everybody suffers in insecure relationship. So that's not what you want to do. You want to go from an insecure relationship toward a secure relationship. That's the way out of this situation. Another reason why you need to give her space is usually people pursue because they try to seduce back and attract back their partner, but they are mistaken. The reason why the partner is leaving is not because they don't love the other person anymore, even though she may be saying that to you. She may be saying, I don't love you anymore. That's not true. She's still attached to you deep down. And the reason why she's leaving is because she's hopeless. And I want to do a mindset shift with you. The reason why she is leaving is not because she rejects you, it's because she loves you too much. It's because of this love and attachment that she has been suffering all these years. And that's the reason why she wants to leave. It's not because she don't love you anymore. And it's not because she don't like you and don't like the person that you are. It's not a rejection. It's just too much love in an unhappy relationship. She was very much in love with you, but she was suffering from your constant avoiding. Therefore, what she needs is hope and happiness. She don't need someone else. You don't need to be another person and to re-attract her, to seduce her back. She's in love with you, with the person that you are. And I'm not saying you don't do any individual work. I'm just saying it's not your priority. If you want her back, you are mistaken. It's not the real reason she's been leaving. She's not leaving because she don't like the person you are anymore. She loves you, but she's suffering from your action. You need to change your action in the relationship. You don't need to change the person you are. The last reason to stay calm, give space, and don't pursue is because there is a thing called need of autonomy, and it's derived from SDT, self-determination theory, developed by Richard Ryan and colleagues. This theory is a theory of basic human needs. And they say that amongst these basic human needs, everybody has a need of autonomy. What they mean is when you have an action for intrinsic motivation, which is he wants to do it by himself, he finds motivation by himself, against people doing it for extrinsic motivation, which means there is some kinds of coercion being made, pressure being made to make the person act in such ways. People that do it for intrinsic motivation are always happier. And I need to quote that because there is many meta studies, many studies that prove that point. Therefore, if you try to force her back into the relationship, she won't be as happy. Maybe she won't even be happy in this relationship, as proved by this self-determination theory and these many studies led by Richard Ryan and colleagues. And if you try too much to force her, you may even create what I call a claustrophobic reaction. And that's something I've seen many times with my clients, so really be careful about that. To understand what's a claustrophobic reaction, let me tell you a story. Let's say you and your family and your friends are having a party in this beautiful mansion. Of course, a halal party. I'm not saying it's haram party. A halal party. You have fun and you have the best party in your life. But someone at some point try to go out from the mansion. They realize that it's closed. Nobody can go out of the mansion. What would happen probably, there would be a panic reaction and everybody would want to go out of this mansion. Even though they've been partying and staying in this mansion for hours and hours and having fun, and it was fine and they were ready to stay in the mansion many more times, at the moment they realize that they are blocked in the mansion, they want to leave right away, which is a claustrophobic reaction. And that proves that you can be in an amazing place, you can be in a beautiful relationship, but at the moment you feel you are forced to stay, you can have a claustrophobic reaction, and you have the urgent needs to leave the place, leave the relationship. And you don't want that, because if you do that, you'll just accelerate her leaving the relationship. It's time to speak about the bad advice you are seeing on the internet. And the first one is work on yourself to be irreplaceable. That may seem logical. If you are irreplaceable, she can't leave you for another person, right? And actually, that's a bad advice. I'll explain you why. Using neuroscience. Neuroscientists have shown that the brain, when you are falling in love with someone, is following three different stages. The first one, it's called selective proceptivity. Sometimes it's called mate selection as well. And it's the time where the brain decides to focus on one person. So you are unmarried, single, and you don't have any prospects. And you have actually millions of possibilities, millions of persons that you can possibly marry. And the brain needs to decide which one you want to pick. So this move from millions and billions of potential partner to one person, to focus its attention to one person, it's called selective proceptivity. Now there is many mechanisms of selective proceptivity, and there is no agreements on every minute matters regarding mate selection. But it's enough for you to know that your brain, if you are in love with someone, went through that stage. And then you have infatuation, a honeymoon phase as well, which is bonding formation moment. According to Adam Bode, which is Australian researcher on romantic love, the role of infatuation is for your brain to create the bonding with the person. Then you have the last stage, the attachment phase, is where the infatuation, this bonding formation happens, and now you just need to maintain that bonding. And so the role of that attachment phase is to maintain this bonding. And when you understand this, you understand that the brain is actually seduced only once. This mate selection phase is done once, and then you have infatuation, and then you have the attachments. And when you have the attachment, it's done. The brain is attached to the person. It's not because she's unhappy in the relationship that she's detached. By the contrary, remember, we say it's not that she don't love you. She actually love you too much. That's why she's suffering. The brain has no reason to redo mate selection and redo infatuation. This is already done. The brain connection are already done. She's already seduced. My knowledge, there is no evidence that the brain can restart this mate selection process and this being seduced process. Of course, there is evidence that you can have long infatuation, and that some married couple actually have this romantic love all the life. There is many studies, and that's my work to help couple to have that, by the way. What I'm saying is the brain going to nothing to infatuation and doing this selective proceptivity, then bonding formation. There is no evidence that it's actually something that happens. You don't need to work on your mate value to be irreplaceable on the marriage market, so she don't find better and she go back to you because she's already seduced. Remember, the problem is not that she's not seduced or in love. The problem is she's hopeless because her needs is not met, and she think it will never be met, and that if she stay, you'll just reject her again and again and again, and it's better for her to be abandoned once than just stay and be rejected thousands of times. The other reason why this advice is not a good advice is because your rizq, and your wife is a rizq, is not on yourself. So it doesn't depend on your quality, your value on the marriage market. Your rizq depends on Allah's providence, Allah's grace, Allah's generosity. When you look at this, the idea is you need to be better, have better value, and automatically you get your wife back. And it's actually false. It's not working on yourself that will that will give you your rizq. It's working on your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not on working on yourself to become irreplaceable on the marriage market, but on having a better relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide your hearts, and you'll become a better person, and you'll get your rizq, not because you're a better person, you'll get your rizq because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is generous and Allah is providing you. So don't focus on having a better mate value on the marriage market. Focus on having a better relationship with Allah, which is your provider. The next reason why I think it's a bad advice is that's an old debate in couple therapy. The debate between the dyadic vision of changes and the individual vision of changes. The whole debate is about how you can make marriage happier and how you can get couple out from distress in their marriage. And the dyadic vision, so here if you have Sophia and you have Ali, and in between you have the relationship between Sophia and Ali, the whole question is, if you want to get Ali and Sophia from distressed couple to happy and striving couple, should you focus on the relationship and do changes in the relationship, or should we say that Ali need to work on himself and Sophia should work on herself? And for example, everybody can take a therapist and not a couple therapist, individual therapy, and automatically the relationship will get better. So that's the whole question, that's the whole debate. And that's a popular opinion. Many people think that everybody need to work on himself, and they say things like, oh, you need to work on yourself and I'll work on myself, or we need to be more mature and stuff like this. And they think that automatically if they do it, then the relationship will get happier and striving. The truth is we have a winner here, that is the direct vision. Empirical outcome studies have shown that you don't have proof that this individual vision works. I'm not, because it's science, we can say for sure that it has zero effect, but so far we have been unable to provide studies that show that empirical individual methods that works and makes the marriage happier and get couple from distressed relationship to happy and satisfied relationship. Though we have many studies that show this direct vision actually works. And there is a researcher named Andrew Christensen. He is like a star in couple therapy, a very influential researcher on couple therapy, and he showed that every single empirical methods of couple therapy rely on this dyadic vision of relationship, which is we need to work on this and we shouldn't work on this. This vision is not the one that creates striving, happy relationships, which doesn't mean that Ali can neglect himself and Sophia can neglect herself and it's fine. I'm not saying that. It's always better if people work on themselves and try to become better people. That's always better. What I'm saying is if your focus is to have a better relationship, and it's your focus, because Sophia left because she was unhappy in the relationship because of the relationship being bad, then you need to focus on the relationship, not on individual works. So for this reason, you just work on yourself and be irreplaceable won't work. Let's jump to the next advice, which is control your emotions. So remember, your wife wants to leave you and she's asking for space, but it's probably very hard for you to give her space. Therefore, many people advise you to control your emotions. It seems logical, right? But they are mistaken and it's not your priority. Once again, I think it needs to be reframed. It's not bad advice in general. And it can help you probably to learn skills to control your emotions. I'm not saying the opposites. What I'm saying is it needs to be reframed and it's not your priority. And it may not even be a good advice in your Muslim high income marriage. From my experience, the reason why many love coach advise to train controlling your emotions is because their clients have another kind of pattern. So their clients a lot of time have relationship where the wife has been avoiding since the beginning of the relationship, and the person was pursuing since the beginning of the relationship, and the pursuer often have a lot of struggle to control their emotions. So they think logically you need to learn that to change. Now, let me explain you why I think it's not based on scientific knowledge, and in your case, in your situation, is actually not a focus. It's not a priority for you. In neuroscience, you made the distinction between autoregulation and co-regulation. Autoregulation is when you are regulating your stress slash affect slash emotions by yourself without the help of anybody else. And co-regulation is when you are doing that in presence of other people. So other people helps you to regulate down your stress, affect, emotions. By the way, it can be regulated up as well. Some people needs other people to feel emotions. Regulation is not always down, it can be up as well. But that's another topic. Their main argument is to say autoregulation comes with training. So you need to learn skills to be able to have autoregulation and to be able to control your emotion by yourself. The truth is, there is a researcher named Alan Shore, is an authority in these matters, and he say, no, it's not the case. It's not how you learn how to autoregulate your stress, affect, emotions. Alan Shore say that when you are a baby, let's take baby Moed. So here we have baby Moed, right? When you are a baby, of course, you have a lot of dysregulation of emotion, stress, affect, and your metabolism is dysregulated a lot because you are a baby. So you get hungry, thirsty, hot, cold, tired, and so on and so forth. And so you need help of another person to be regulated. So when you are a baby, there is no autoregulation. You can't autoregulate as a baby. So you need connection with an attachment figure. And usually it's the mom. So here you have a mom that is helping baby Maad regulate. And when mom is here, especially if she's a good caretaker, baby Maad experience some kinds of regulation. And by experiencing this regulation, then the brain creates the circuits that allow baby Maad later on in his adult life to auto-regulate. It's still unclear about why it's working. Some people say it's like muscle memory, so the body remember how to regulate because of that repeated experience of being regulated by an attachment figure. And other people say it's by having cognitive mental access to the attachment figure. So just imagine baby Moed or adult Moed can think about his attachment figure, and when he does that, it's actually down regulates or up regulates his emotions, affect, and stress. So that's maybe one of the explanation about why it's working. The thing is, it's how you learn auto-regulation. It's not with training. It's not with skills and these kind of fluff. I'm not saying you can't do breathing exercise and you can do meditation. You can't do this stuff and it won't regulate your stress and so on and so forth. No, you can use this kind of glitch to regulate your stress and emotions. I'm just saying it's not natural, and it's not the main way for human beings to regulate their stress emotions, and you are actually dependent on these strategies. And a lot of time they have low thresholds, which means as soon as you have a very strong stress, it's not working anymore, or you won't have the instinct to use these things. So it's not the best thing if you want auto-regulation. The best thing if you want auto-regulation is to have secure attachments with someone, especially an attachment figure, someone important. And what's amazing with Alan Shore research is that he's shown that even if you didn't have this kind of secure attachments with another person in your childhood, and so you are bad with auto-regulation, it happens a lot when you have bad relationship with caretakers. Alan Shaw shown that by having secure attachment, secure relationship, even as an adult, the brain can actually recreate these circuits that has been lacking in people's childhoods, and the brain can learn auto-regulation with these secure relationship even as adults. So you don't train auto-regulation, and even if you can train, it's not a priority, and it's not the best way to have these auto-regulations. It's a very hard way to get to auto-regulation. But the thing is, why do you want to focus so much on auto-regulation at the first place? A relationship without co-regulation is lame. Really, what do you want to be with another person if you need to rely on yourself, if you don't have, if this person doesn't make you feel good in your life, right? The reason why we marry with another person and we want this relationship with another person is because we want someone to regulate us, regulate our emotions, stress, mood, affect. We want this kind of connection. Even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He created us in pair so we find tranquility, peace with the other person. So why teaching people to learn auto-regulation? We don't care about auto-regulation. Okay, maybe important, but the most important is to have a relationship that regulates your affect. And what you are creating is a very unbalanced relationship where you are this kind of wall here, and then the other person can rely on you, but you can't rely on the other person to regulate your mood, feeling, affect, emotions. And that's lame. I don't see any reason why you would be in a relationship and do this many effort to stay in this relationship if you can't even rely on your partner to regulate you and help you with your emotions, stress, and make you feel better in everyday life. So that's a bad advice to me. And last but not least, why it's a bad advice is because you don't have auto-regulation problem, you have an attachment problem. So it's not because you can't regulate your emotions that you are here today. It was because of insecure relationship. It was because of fear of abandonment and rejection in you and your partner. That's what you need to focus on. You need to change the dynamic that makes you feel these fears at the first place. You don't need to learn how to control this fear. It's not a priority. The priority is not to learn how to control this fear. The priority is to suppress this fear. It should not be there. You shouldn't have a relationship where you have all these fears and insecurities at the first place that you need to control with auto-regulation that you learn as training with skills, with mental skills and a positive affirmation and a mindset shifting and stuff like this that are very unnatural way to deblock autoregulation. And I can finally show you the last advice that people are giving you to get your wife back, and I think it's a bad advice, is detach from the outcome. Let me explain that. If they say focus on the process, then yes, focusing on the process is a very good mindset to have in everything in your life, because sometimes the outcome takes time. And in your situation, studies show that you need to give space to your wife, and it's an average of 2-3 months of giving space to your wife, and it's just an average. It can be way more than that. So yeah, it won't come right away. Maybe it will be late. And if you just focus on the outcome, what will happen is, first of all, you'll be impatient, and it will be very hard for you to do the work. And if you focus on the outcome, yeah, it's true. It will be very hard for you to give space to your wife, and you probably just blew up everything. And also there is high chance that if you just focus on the outcome, as soon as you get her back, you go back in this insecure, lame, bad relationship, and then it's a cycle. She'll just leave again, and you're stuck. So if you say focus on the process of changing your relationship, yes, we do agree with that, and this is a good advice. The problem here is that we can misunderstand this advice as not detaching from getting her back, but detaching from her, detaching from your wife. And no, that's a dangerous advice. You should not detach from your wife. You are attached. Maybe it's an insecure attachment, but it's still an attachment to your wife, and you should not detach from your wife. First, let me define attachments, because some people don't understand that, and some people maybe will come and quote Islamic principles and say, oh, you should detach from this dunya, and you should detach from any person beside of Allah. So let me be clear. Attachment here in psychology is defined as to want repeated connection with the same person, and this is perfectly fine, halal, and there is no issue to want repeated connection with the same person. The way some scholars and other people define attachment is being dependent on other person to be happy beside Allah. So if this other person is not here, you are desperate, and you know you can't be happy anymore in your life, or you don't think you can be happy anymore in your life. And this kind of dependency, that's what they mean by attachment. But here in psychology, we mean repeated connection with the same person, which is perfectly fine and halal. Now, so detachment would be the opposite, to want to suppress this wanting of repeated connection with the same person, and that's actually dangerous. Let me show you. Right now, you are here in insecure attachments, and that's the reason why it has been so hard for you. So it's a fire, right? You are in a fire here, of the fire of an insecure attachments. And for this reason, it has been very hard for you all these years. And you want to go from this insecure attachment to secure attachments. But because of this advice, the risk is you go from these insecure attachments to detachments. And detachment, if the fire of insecure attachment was painful for you and your wife, let me tell you, the fire of being married while being detached is the worst fire. It's way bigger. It's very painful. The experience of being in a detached marriage is way more painful. You have way more insecurities and way more reactions, stimuli, strong emotions in detached marriage, because what's happened is you have unbalance now, and one person is detached, the other person is attached, which creates massive imbalance, and yeah, it's usually very nasty and painful, and for not just for you, for the kids and everybody as well. So no, you shouldn't go from insecure attachment to detachment. You shouldn't try to detach from your wife, even though I know you are suffering because you love her and you feel that if you don't love her anymore, probably you won't suffer as much. And it's tempting to do works to be detached from your wife and partner. But no, you need to go to secure attachment. Keep the attachments, just change the way you express your relationship and emotions. And the last reason why detachment is a bad idea is because right now you are in grief. So I didn't develop about what's happening to you right now and the healing process of your situation, and I'll do it in other videos. But right now, your wife wants to leave you, and you are struggling with grief because you are losing an attachment figure. And when it comes to grief, there is many studies, and the leading expert in this field is Mary Frances O'Connor, that shows that avoidant coping, which is trying to escape grief by detaching from the object of grief, is very bad. It creates stronger depression. It creates trauma. It can create health problems, health issues, and autoimmune problems, and many more. So that's a very bad advice. You shouldn't detach from the partner. Stay attached. It's good. Attachment is a good thing. What you need to do is change the insecure attachment to secure attachment. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching me. Please share with me all your thoughts and questions in comments. It can help me help you better, inshallah. And I'm not asking for anything for this video. Just if you like this and you think it can help other people, please share these videos. It's not to make the channel bigger. It's just to help more people with these useful informations. Barakallahu fik. Assalamu alaikum.